You have a presentation next week. What's the first thing you do? If you're like most people, you will open PowerPoint. And that is a huge mistake. Starting with slides destroys your ability to create a coherent presentation. Not because slides are bad, but because you can't see the whole picture. I'm Greg, co-founder of Bismart Communication Studio, and I've spent 10 years helping people build better presentations. And this is the single most common mistake I see, regardless of experience level. And in the next 10 minutes, I'll explain why this happens, show you what to do instead, and give you practical techniques for sketching your presentation the right way. But before we start, subscribe if you want to get practical, proven, science-based communication advice every week. And with that, let's dive in. To see what is wrong with the slide, we need to talk about observability. When you're building a presentation, you need to see your entire speech at once. The whole structure, how ideas connect, where you're going, and why you're going there. And you can think of that like building a house. You need a blueprint that shows the entire structure, the foundation, how the rooms connect, where load-bearing walls go, and how everything fits together. Without the blueprint, you're just stacking bricks all one at a time and just hoping it will somehow become a house. You might build a beautiful entrance, but then realize that you forgot to plan for stairs to second floor. Or you might finish one room perfectly and only to discover that it doesn't connect properly to the next. That is observability. The ability to see and understand your entire structure at a glance. And here's the problem. Slides, they kill observability. When you start with PowerPoint or Google Slides, you're looking at one slide at a time. Click to the next, then the next, then the next, and you can't see how slide 3 connects to slide 4 while also seeing how they both relate to your opening and your conclusion. When you start with slides, you start thinking in terms of tiny beats of your speech instead of the whole big picture. You're filling boxes, not building an argument, and I see that pattern constantly in one-on-one coaching. Someone comes to me before a big presentation and they say, I already have all the content lined up on slides, now I just need to work on connections between them. This shows that they started from a completely wrong end, because trying to add connections after you've built slides is much harder than building with connections from the start. As a result, the structure turns out hectic, fragmented, and lacking connections between the parts. And here is what most people don't understand. The structure of your presentation isn't a list of points. It's connections between them. Those connections do three critical things. For you as a speaker, connections help you to remember and navigate the content. They prevent that awkward, okay, what do we have here moment when you can't remember what comes next. And that moment actually destroys credibility and engagement instantly. For your audience, connections create logical flow that helps them digest new information, and without clear connections, they're getting random facts with no thread holding them together. And for your slides, it's actually harder to build a slide from scratch, thinking about the content of each slide every time. On the other hand, if you already have a clear structure and know what you want from the visuals from the start, you will be moving much faster. So starting later actually saves you some time. So what do you do instead? Before you touch a computer, grab pen and paper. And just draw and sketch your thoughts, not even the slides. Build a mind map that later can be turned into your flow. This gives you something that slides can't. The ability to see the entire speech at once. So why pen and paper specifically? I think they have three big advantages. First, there is no learning curve, no software to open. You can just grab it and start. Second, it's fast. You can sketch, you can draw, redraw, all faster than clicking through menus and playing with font sizes unnecessarily. And third, it gives you the observability. Everything is visible simultaneously, and you can see opening, your three main points, your conclusion, all at the same time. And you can see the flow, you can see connections, not just, randomly built parts of your presentation. You might be thinking, can I use Miro or Figma or other digital tools? And yes, of course you can. But just make sure that you're pretty familiar with them, you feel comfortable, because it's pretty easy to get sucked into those tiny adjustments that you're making when you're working with those tools. And make sure to treat them as your sketches, because those are just your sketches. Don't make them pretty. And here's how to actually use pen and paper effectively. First, write down your main idea. What's the one thing that you want people to remember? Not three things, just one thing. Write it a little below the top part of the page and make it visible. Second, create a mind map around it. Not a list. This is critical. Don't write just a linear list of points. Draw a mind map. Draw connections. Start with your main idea in the center or at the top, and then branch out. What are the major pieces of the idea? What does the audience need to understand? Later, you can add some context that is necessary for a complete understanding of your idea at the top, above the main idea. And this way, mind maps show relationship. Lists, they just show sequences, but mind maps, they show the relationship and the flow of your presentation and gives you a sense of the whole sequence. And now, third, actually draw slides, but don't create them, just draw them. When you're sketching, draw quick boxes to represent slides and just rough sketches, a rectangle with a few words or an icon that will represent what is going to be presented on the slide. This gives you more freedom of expression. You're not constrained with PowerPoint templates or formatting. You're thinking about what needs to be communicated, no, not how it will look. And you can draw a slide, realize it doesn't fit, cross it out very quickly, and draw something else. Try different sequences, see what works, what doesn't. It's up to you. And fourth, look for the flow. Once you've sketched it out, you can step back, read it through out loud, and see if you can see a clear path from the beginning to an end. Does each idea build on the previous one? And are there any gaps where the audience would be confused about how you got from point A to point B? If the structure doesn't make sense on paper, obviously it won't make sense in slides. But on paper, you can solve the problem and fix it in 30 seconds. Let me show you what it looks like in practice. Let's say you're presenting a proposal to change your company's client onboarding process. Starting with the slides, you will open PowerPoint, first slide, title, second slide, agenda, third slide, maybe some data about the onboarding, fourth slide, some data about how clients behave during onboarding. The fourth slide, here we will show that there is another option for an onboarding. Oh, wait, we actually forgot to explain the importance of onboarding for the business. Okay, I will add this one. Now it's a little bit confusing because the problem solution flow is broken. And here you are with 15 slides that, doesn't really make sense as a coherent argument. But starting with pen and paper, you can write at the top, streamlined onboarding reduces client frustration and increases retention. Here's the main idea that you want everyone to remember. And now you can draw a mind map. So you see that this is your main idea, so you need to start with some context, explain the current state and client pain points and business impact. So you give the whole context. Now you come to your main idea, your proposed solution, and then there will be, for example, 3 steps of implementation, step 1, step 2, step 3. And now you circle them all back to the conclusion and main idea once again. Now you can see immediately you need to start with a story about a frustrated client, then show the current process, then show pain points, then introduce the solution and explain steps for implementation. And in 10 minutes, you have a structure that makes sense. Maybe you reworked it, couple of times, but it makes sense now. And now you can open PowerPoint and build slides that will also make sense. And so here's the takeaway. Slides are a communication tool, not a thinking tool. And when you start with slides, you are trying to think and format at the same time. You lose observability, your structure becomes fragmented. Start with pen and paper, write your main idea, use a mind map to explore the structure, draw quick sketches of slides, and get the flow right. Once you have a structure you can understand, you may open PowerPoint, and building slides now becomes easy because you already know what you're building and why. This approach has saved many speakers I coached countless times, and it will do the same for you, I promise. And that's it. You're good to go. If you found this helpful, subscribe. I share practical communication advice like this every week. And if you want to quickly improve your public speaking skills, check out this other video on the channel. Good luck with this presentation that you're making, and see you next week.